what a verb is.
Actions. Something you can do.
Something you can do. Who can give me an example of a verb? What is something you can do?
Run.
You can run. What's something you can do, Libby?
You can walk.
You can walk. Now, what happens if I want to run tomorrow? How would I say that?
You could say will.
You could say will. I will run tomorrow. Does that make sense? I will run tomorrow?
Yes.
Yes. What if I wanted to say that yesterday I wanted to run? How would I say that?
I ran.
I ran. Right. I wouldn't say I will run yesterday, would I? No, that doesn't make sense. So who remembers what past tense means?
Something that's already happened.
Something that already happened. And what does present tense mean?
It will happen. Or hasn't happened yet.
Present tense.
Happening now.
It's happening now. What about future tense? What does it mean if something will happen in the future?
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Has it happened yet? No. So we're going to talk about verb tenses. And we have a little story to go with it. So we're going on an adventure in the safari. The children explore the savannah. Who sees the verb in that sentence?
Explore.
Explore. Can you explore? Is that something you can do? Yes. They see elephants. What's the verb in that sentence?
See.
See, because you can see. Libby, can you read this sentence to me?
They ride in the Jeep.
They ride in the Jeep. What's the verb in that sentence?
Ride.
Ride. What about this one? They camp every night. What is the verb in that one? That one's kind of tricky.
Camp.
Camp. One morning, they hear a very strange noise. They find a strange machine behind a bush. What do you think it could be?
A factory.
Factory? You think it's a factory behind the bush?
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be a really little factory. It's a time machine. The time machine is going to give us verbs, and we're going to try to figure out what they could be in the past or the present or the future. What verb is that?
Look.
Look. What do you think look would be in past tense?
Looked.
Looked. Let's see. Good job, Libby. What about in the future?
Will look.
Will look. Good. Let's see what's next. What verb is that? That one's tricky. It's got some funny letters. What's that one?
Touch.
Touch. How would we say touch in the past tense?
Touched.
Touched. Good. What about the future tense?
Will touch.
Will touch. That was a wonderful discovery. We thought the time machine was lost. Would you like to see how it works?
Yeah.
The present tense is what is happening right now. In the present, we are in class. Do the actions with me. I clap. That's something we're doing right now. The past already happened. I clapped. That's something that we already did. The future is something that has not happened yet. It will still happen later. that you can think of. Any two verbs, and share them with your partner.
Hop and jog.
Sleep and watch.
Sarah, what's one verb that you thought of?
Sleep.
Sleep. How would you say sleep in future tense?
I will sleep.
I will sleep. Tonight I will sleep in my bed. Libby, what's one verb that you thought of?
Hop.
Hop. How would we say hop in the past tense?
I hopped.
I hopped. I hopped on one leg yesterday. Okay, let's look at some examples. Sarah, can you read that sentence to me?
I walk.
I walk. Now, Libby, how do you think we could say that in the past tense?
I walked.
I walked. Yesterday, I walked my dog. And how do you think we could say that in the future tense?
I will walk.
I will walk. I will walk my dog tomorrow. I smile. How do you guys think that we could say I smile in the past tense?
I smiled.
I smiled. What about in the future tense?
I will smile.
I will smile. I wonder what this one could be. I look. How could we say I look in the past tense?
I looked.
I looked. What about in the future tense?
I will look.
I will look. We use different tenses of verbs depending on when the action takes place. So if something happened yesterday, which tense will we use?
Past.
The past tense. If it's happening right now, what will we use?
Present.
The present. They will run. What tense is that in?
Future.
The future tense. They run. What do you think that is in?
Present.
The present tense. And they ran is how we would say it in the past tense. All right, look at these verbs. Tell me what you notice. What do all of the past tense verbs have in common?
They all end with ed.
They all end with ed. And what about the verbs in the future tense?
They all have the word will in it.
They all have the word will, but they still look like the present tense verbs. They just added will to the beginning. So if you want to say something in the future, we add will. If we're using the present tense, the verb will stay the same, but we might add s or es. Sometimes, not always. All right, help me read these verbs. We walk. What's that one?
He laughs.
What about that one?
She wishes.
She wishes. So this one doesn't have an S, this one does, and this one has ES. So sometimes, depending on the word, we use different endings. In the future tense, we add will before the verb. If the verb is crawl, how do you think we would say it in the future tense?
Will crawl.
We will crawl. We add will. What about mix, Libby?
Will mix.
Will mix. And chase. How would we say that in the future?
Will chase.
Will chase. In the past, we use ed. How do you think we would say jump in the past?
Jumped.
Jumped. What about clean?
Cleaned.
Cleaned. And guess?
Guessed.
Guessed. Identify the tense of the sentence using your whiteboard. So this is kind of like a little game. that in?
Present.
Present tense. How would we say that in the future tense? Libby, how do you think we would say that in the future tense?
I will see a big rhino.
I will see a big rhino. Good job. All right, friends. Find your partner. And I want you guys to work together to change the tenses of these sentences to the past tense and the future tense.